Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Monster Legends episode. Today we're going to be talking about and opening 3 Talos Cell Super Chests. And of course I want to talk about this monster first because I think he's really undervalued. When this monster was first released, he was the first Nemesis that essentially you could get for free even if you were a free-to-play player. It just required you to beat some really tough Nemesis dungeons, and I mean they were really tough, and you could only use VIP monsters. However, before this event actually started, or during the time the event started, Social Point actually let players breed VIP monsters, and some of the combinations were really easy. And so even if you were free to play, if you were lucky, then you might have been able to get this monster. And in fact, I was able to get one version of this monster and a good amount of cells from the other versions. So after doing the current Nemesis dungeons, I'm actually going to be able to get Talos entirely for free. And anyhow, because that is the case, this monster unfortunately gets a bad reputation. I don't know how many comments I saw about people saying, of course this Nemesis monster is free, he's the worst one. Of course Social Point would give the worst Nemesis monster for free, blah blah blah. But honestly, and I mentioned this in the previous video, I think this monster is a contender to be the third best Nemesis monster. First is Sammy, then is Ruby, first is Sammy, then is Zyron, but then I really can't decide. It's a three-way tie for me between Faraday, Talos, and Warthog. It is that difficult for me to decide. And the reason, well, I guess I'll get into each individual analysis. So you know what, let's just head to Wiki and do that right now. And so we'll start with the very base version, because typically the base version isn't the best. But in this monster's case, I would argue, just like with Faraday, the base version is actually quite usable. And the reason being is this skill right here, Iron Buckshot. What do you notice about Iron Buckshot that was similar to Faraday? Right here, 100% accuracy AoE, which means it cannot miss the attack. And the special thing this monster has going for him is his trait. He's an artifact. You can't apply negative or positive effects, which means this monster can never be blinded. He can never be total blinded. He can't be stop time. He can't be frozen, stunned, dazed. You can't apply sunburn. There's no reduction of accuracy for this monster, which means he will always land your attack, assuming the enemy monster doesn't have evasion or camouflage or one of those skills. So 35% AoE, that is awesome. And this monster also has an extra turn skill, Define Target, right here. So theoretically, on the very first turn, as soon as Talos gets his turn in, and you know, unless you stamina drain him, he is going to be getting a turn in, unless you kill him too, you're going to be able to do 40 damage to one enemy monster, and then you're going to be able to hit the whole entire team with 35 metal damage. And so that means that one single enemy monster is going to be hit with 75 damage, he's going to get hit with bleeding, and his allies are going to get hit with 35 metal damage and bleeding. And then bleeding reduces HP by 15% and further reduces damage output by 20%. It's a really great combo. Aside from that, once you rank this monster up, he has an 80 damage skill, and most of the time 80 damage is enough to OTK. But if it's not enough, if you don't have the best runes, if the enemy monsters are ranked up, high level runes, well then you could always do the 40 damage and follow it up with 80 damage. That's 120 damage on your very first turn. And if you're in the higher leagues, a lot of the rune setups are 5 team speed, 1 strength, well 3 team speed on the treachery monster, the attacker has 2 team speed and a strength, and the deny monster runs 3 speed. Well, with Talos, you can run him 2 speed and a strength, give your allies team speed, and you will go second in the turn order, and you're not going to be denied. Even if you're facing a Ruby, the only way Ruby could deny you is if she did a singular cooldown activated against you. Because then, yeah, of course, you have high cooldowns, but if she does do that singular attack against you, well then guess what? Now your teammates are immobilized, so then you have a chance to react. Additionally, she can do total exhaustion and drain your stamina, and so then of course you'd be in a situation where you don't have no stamina to use, but then we also have to factor in relics and what they can actually do. So there are mass relics that can recover stamina depending on whether or not you're hit. And then as for traps, I'm not too familiar with them. I do really like Pestilence Trap, which reduces the enemy's max HP. Considering he's going to be an attacker, it makes it easier to wipe out the enemy. Again, if you reduce their max HP with Pestilence Trap, let me actually show you what Pestilence Trap does. And so here's a level 30 Pestilence Trap. At the start of the battle, decrease all enemies' maximum life by 5,800 points. That's almost 6,000 points. So not only do the enemy monsters lose a good chunk of life, then when it's your turn because you didn't get denied, it makes it so much easier to attack the enemy with that combo of 75 damage to a single monster, then 35 to the teammates, or just 80 damage one enemy monster, or 40 damage one monster, 80 damage to the other, or just 120 damage. Like, he's that powerful to run as an attacker. Additionally, you can run something like Oblation Trap. Let's see what this does leveled up. After being hit, if War's life is below 50%, removes 108 points of stamina from all of the enemies. So you can get hits and sort of kind of try to immobilize the enemy by reducing their stamina, and then you can still attack. So again, he's a very powerful monster. I'm not sure if the energy mask would be useful. After being hit, the warrior gains 25 points of stamina. Let me level this up all the way to 30, 90 points of stamina. I don't know, because I don't know if first the enemies, like the ruby total exhaustion, would activate and then you lose your stamina, then you gain it, or do you gain it first then lose it? I think it's the latter. I think energy mask might work. Problem being, you don't gain enough stamina. It's just 90 points. What I would personally recommend, honestly, is the healing mask. After being hit, if warrior's life is below 50%, it heals by 15,000 points. This is at level 1 and it has 2 uses. And I recommend this because this monster doesn't necessarily have the highest life. Let me level this up all the way. It heals by 40,000 points. Well, 39,180. So this is a way to keep your Talos alive, who has the artifact trait, so it makes it really tough to kill him. So Pestilence Trap to reduce max life from the enemy, and then Healing Mask to stay alive, and that way you can eliminate the enemy monsters. Balthazar's Mask, which gets a bad rep of being a diamond relic, could also technically be used. Increases warrior strength by 2,512 points for 1 turn. When the turn starts, increases warrior strength by 2,520 points for 1 turn, 2 uses. Especially considering that you can do that combo with the AoE that has 100% accuracy. Why wouldn't you want an additional 2,520 points? So again, incredible monster, even the base version. The reason this monster gets a really bad rap is this skill right here. Talos is the sun. Disables straight slot enemies, gives 1 extra turn, requires cooldown. Look at that stamina cost, it's so much, blah blah blah. Honestly, in my opinion, if you're running this monster as an attacker, you don't even need to run this skill. This skill becomes irrelevant. You want Victim Chosen, 80 damage. You want Iron Buckshot, 35 damage AoE. You want the extra turn skill, which means you have a 4th skill to choose whatever you want. And personally, what I would recommend is this skill right here, because it's special based with 0 cooldown. I know what you're thinking, armor, it's only 40 damage, it's not significant, it's not useful. But in my opinion, the reason it is useful, and this applies to any version, is because of that 0 cooldown and the 40 damage. But actually, I would argue that's actually the reason it's incredibly useful. Because if you start the game off, keep in mind, I said a lot of battles are 3 speed, 2 team speed and a strength, and then 3 team speed, and there can be variations, but typically it's 1 enemy attacker, 1 super fast denier. Okay, you don't get denied, then it's your turn. Most of the time, this 80 damage skill, especially when you combine relics, it is going to eliminate the enemy attacker. And so you get rid of the enemy attacker, and honestly, they lost their main force. Like, that's the monster that's supposed to wipe out your monsters. Now that the attacker is gone, okay, you've exhausted one of your strongest attacks. It has a 3 turn cooldown at a 59 stamina cost. But you know what you can still do on the next turn? On the next turn, you can run your extra turn skill. It only costs 44 stamina, which actually allows you to run this skill, which is 28 stamina. So you can actually after the first turn of doing Victim Chosen to wipe out 1 enemy monster, on the following turn, you have another 80 damage skill. It just involves mixing 2 skills, so each has a 95% accuracy, but 40 here and 40 here. And you know what, in case you're doubtful, let's just add up the stamina. 28 and 44, that's a 2, carry the 1, 72 stamina cost, and Victim Chosen is 59. 59 plus 72, what is that, 131 stamina? So considering a monster has 140 stamina, it's super easy to pull off this combo. You wipe out 2 enemy monsters, pretty much guaranteed. And again, like, the whole Talos is the sun costs too much stamina, you can't use a skill, skills group 4, skill not usable. That's irrelevant. It's super irrelevant in my opinion. Just don't run. If a skill is bad on any monster, solution, don't run that skill. The monster is still very powerful. And again, going back to his stats, of all the Nemesis monsters, not the most impressive stats, a pretty low life, but again, you can give him a healing mask, and you can't deny him. I think that's the main thing. That's why his stats aren't as great. This monster gets a churning guaranteed. I'm going to link a bunch of videos of me showing you winning with Talos, running the different versions. He's that phenomenal. And then as you move over to other variations, well, they just become more stronger. So this is the Island Protector, the magic version. Look at that power, 3696. Alright, let's scroll down. The difference with this monster is that he has magic based skills. So he actually applies Sunburn. So here we have a 50 damage 1 turn cooldown Sunburn. Here we have an AoE, 45 damage, that's really nice. The problem is the 90% accuracy. So that's why I kind of like the base version, it's 100% accuracy. So with this monster, he's a lot stronger, but then you're playing with fire because you might miss. But if we look at that very same combo, we have 40 damage here, 45 damage here. That's 85 damage to a single enemy monster and Sunburn to his allies. The monster is gonna die, and the enemy monsters, if they get hit, they're going to have Sunburn, which reduces their HP by 10%, and then it also reduces their accuracy by 15%. If I ran this monster as an attacker, I would choose Victim Chosen, Porch Radiation, and then the last skill would ultimately be up for your choosing. You could run Ruby Blade if you want to. I actually don't really think it's needed too much. I mean, in case you can't kill an enemy monster, at least you have a way to immobilize them with stun. But I kind of still like the whole Destination Locator, just in case you want to pull out that combo I mentioned earlier, which you can really do with any Talos, so it's not specific to Island Protector, the other one. And so once again, you should ultimately just ignore this skill right here. You don't need it. If you're running the Island Protector as an attacker, if you're running him with 2 strength runes and a speed rune, you don't need this monster. You could also run this monster 1 speed, 1 strength, 1 life rune. Now of course, if you do want to run Talos as a son, you'd have to give him a stamina. And even a stamina, a speed, and a strength would work. Yes, you could actually forgo the life rune for a stamina rune just if you want to run this skill, because it definitely still has its usability, because you disable the traits on the enemy monster, which means if on the next turn your monster goes, it can apply whatever DOT, any negative effects, it can immobilize, so it's still feasible. But personally, I think this monster, Talos, he works better as an attacker. But then we have to move on to the Forgotten Artifact, the nature version. And this is the one I think really shines, because there's so many different ways to use him. Like seriously, in terms of ruining him, you can run a rainbow build, you can run 1 strength, 2 speed, you can run 2 team speed, 1 stamina. There are so many ways to utilize this monster as an attacker, as a denier, anti-meta, and this is why this is my personal favorite version. I am so looking forward to getting this monster. I am really hyped, I am really excited about it. And the reason being is that his nature-based attacks are better than the magic version in my opinion. And so the first nature attack we have of his is Compressed Radiation, which is actually 45 damage, no cooldown, and it poisons. So even if you face an enemy Ruby that does cooldowns activated, well, you now have a nature-based 45 damage attack that you can use against the enemy Ruby or any magic monster. And the nature element actually has an elemental advantage over magic. So against a magic monster, against a Ruby, you're still gonna pack a punch. So even if you get hit with cooldowns activated, if you're running this monster as an attacker, Compressed Radiation might be enough to just OTK that Ruby, and then you don't need to worry about her for the rest of the game. And if you don't believe me, well then you also have to factor in relics and everything. And of course the enemy has to factor in relics, so it is complicated, but that is a pretty cool thing you can do. Moving on to the next skill, Spread Radiation, it's a AoE 40 damage poison skill. AoE 40 damage poison. That's interesting. So this one isn't as valuable as the magic version. However, what makes this monster truly valuable, and the reason you actually can run Talos as a son and give him 2 speed, 1 stamina, is because of his next skill. His next skill deals massive nature damage to one enemy and applies hacked and nature weakness to all enemies. So let me just clarify this. This monster only hacks one enemy monster, but he applies nature weakness to everyone. But again, he only hacks one monster. Now this skill is insanely good because you can combo it with Talos as the son. There's actually a reason to use this skill. Now you can give him a stamina rune, 2 speed runes. Even if the enemy monster's first, even if he's faster than you, it doesn't matter. Let him go first. Let him try to deny you. It can't deny you. Then you run the skill, you trade disable everyone, you get an extra turn. Oh, by the way, even if you're facing a Faraday, Faraday would lose his anticipation trait. So he's not going to get an extra turn. So even in player versus player, if you're facing Ruby and Faraday in one team, guess what? Even if you're faster than me, I don't care. I'm going to try to beat you using this monster. And so Ruby goes, does a deny, does a single hit, whatever. You go Talos as a son, you trade disable, and then you can hack the enemy attacker. And I actually have a video. If you watch my level 1 to 105 of this monster, if you skip to like 1228 or 1258, you're going to see an amazing battle where I took on a really tough team using just a 105 Forgotten Artifact with like level 6 or 7 runes, and then a Nishan's Pet with like level 4 team speed, level 5 team speed, and it's a phenomenal battle. Of course there's luck and everything involved, but just the fact that you can have weak monsters against ranked up tough monsters and everything, it's quite phenomenal. And it's because this 2-turn combo right here, trade disable and then hacking. And then keep in mind I said a lot of team combinations in the higher levels are 3 team speed, 2 team speed, a strength, and 3 speed. If you can actually combo your monster, and it's really sad I couldn't do this in a video, I would have loved to do it. If you can combo the Forgotten Artifact with a monster, a deny monster running 1 speed and 2 team speed, a treachery monster running 3 team speed, and then that secondary monster running the single speed, if that monster can counter the enemy deny monster's denial, and if that monster has AoE possession, well then they're really going to be in for it. And honestly, it works out even better if you're slower than the enemy's next monster to attack. So let me just try to give you an example. If you're fighting an Nishan's Pet who's super fast, he's level 130, who has a Faraday as an attacker, and you have Talos, and then you're running someone like Violet who's immune to possession, but also has an AoE possession skill, guess what amazing combo you can pull off? Even if the turn order is the enemy Nishan's Pet, your Talos, Faraday, and then finally your Violet, guess what? Nishan's Pet goes first, does AoE possession. Okay, it doesn't land on Violet, it doesn't land on Talos, it may land on your third monster, that's irrelevant. But then you're allowed to go, you can trade disable, get an extra turn, you can hack the enemy Faraday. Whether or not he kills himself or his teammate, that's irrelevant. You hack him, And then it goes over to your Violet finally. Your Violet wasn't possessed because of her natural immunity, and then guess what? Now you can AoE possess. None of the enemy monsters can block you because their trait has been disabled. And now you're essentially just using the enemy's team against themselves. It is that beautiful and wonderful. And keep in mind, you apply nature weakness, so on the next turn you can do your spread radiation, give poison to everyone, by then they're probably already dead. It's just, I love this monster for the ability you can actually use Talos as a sun. Now of course you could also run him as an attacker. That's what most people do. When I get this monster, I'm going to try that 2-speed stamina build and see how it works out. But I really do believe this monster is great, and hopefully in the future I can make some videos to show that to everyone. But with that being said, I'm going to link you guys a lot of videos. Be sure to watch them. And now to get on to the chest opening. And so let's get into it. So I accidentally started recording too early, so I'm just going to have to go through the chest and show you guys what we actually got. So we got the base Talos version, we got the Forgotten Artifact, the nature version, we got the this one looks like the base version. We got IP, Island Protector, the magic version. We got rabies cells. We got the base version, Sparking Mantis cells, and more Forgotten Artifact, unless I repeated. And yeah, I think let me just recount. I'll start at Sparking Mantis. That way it's easy. So nature, magic, base, 50 of each, and then more nature, 100 of the nature, and then 50 more of the magic. So that's 1 Island Protector, 1 Forgotten Artifact, and then 50 cells of the base version. Oh wait, there's more. We literally got every single one. We got 100 cells for each, and an additional 50 Sparking Mantis cells, 50 rabies cells. That is super awesome. This chest was definitely worth it. Again, when the monsters first came out, it was 30 for the variations, 20 for the base, 30, 30, 20, that's 60, 80. We paid $50 for this chest. That was definitely worth it. Let's do another purchase. Alright, this time I have the full recording. Chest number 2. Forgotten Artifact, base version, 150, 200 for the base, and more Forgotten Artifact, that's 100, Island Protector, a 100% Talos chest. Thank you very much. Even if it was mostly the base version, we got another Forgotten Artifact, we got Island Protector. Did we get enough for 100 more Island Protector? Yeah, 2 Island Protectors right here. Wow, this was a really nice chest. This was really, really nice. That's 50, 100, 150, 200 for the base, and then 50 Forgotten Artifact, 2 Island Protector, that's 100. And yeah, this was an amazing, amazing chest. Wow, I should have bought this, because I really love this monster. I'm not kidding you. This was amazing. Alright, and now for chest number 3. And for the last chest, so let's see. Forgotten Artifact, Dark Ghouls, no, Forgotten Artifact, Guava Juice, Forgotten Artifact, that's 150, Island Protector, Forgotten Artifact 200, and Blob Cells. So why does this always happen? I get a really good chest followed by a mediocre chest. So this was actually 50%, no, wait, I still got 5 out of 8, so hey, still above 50%. And I did get a lot of Forgotten Artifact cells. That's 100, 150, 200. Did I get 200 Forgotten Artifact? So it's still good. 200 Forgotten Artifact and Island Protector. And because these are the variations, no base version, it still worked out. So another great chest. That middle one was the best though. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I highly, highly recommend you join the Monster Legends Coalition Discord. There's going to be a link in the description. A huge thanks to Ruby for letting me do all of these different Nemesis South chest opening on my channel. Thank you for letting me use the account. Seriously, just thank you for everything. With that being said, I'm Armor Gaming. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video and the last one and all of them, and I will see you all next time.